Hello, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising astrology friends. This is your February 2026 astrology forecast. I do recommend that you listen to these videos for your rising sign first, as that shows where the energy is going to manifest for you in your physical reality, as your rising sign is what sets up your house system. Your sun sign, listen to that for more indication about where your mind might be in regards to your career or your outward facing self. And listen to your moon sign for more internal, how you're feeling the energy internally or perhaps at home. But as far as what areas of life things are most likely going to show up in for you, that would be listening to your rising sign. I also highly recommend listening to the collective reading before you listen to this one. I do go into the Sabian symbols for the 4 planets that are not moving more than 1 degree this month. So I really think that those provide like a good baseline for what we collectively and individually are kind of moving through, the lessons that we are learning as a people right now. So definitely check that out. Other than that, if you're new here, hi, I'm Sarah at Life with Training Wheels, where I utilize Western tropical zodiac astrology, tarot, and other spiritual health and wellness tools such as sound bowls, meditation, things like that, to help guide you on your highest and truest path, to help you take back control over your life, identify and release any self-sabotaging behaviors, self-limiting beliefs, things like that. So if that sounds like something you want to stick around for, a vibe you can vibe with, go ahead and give me a like, a subscribe, a comment, so I keep showing up in your feed. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and any engagement you can have with this video really does help my tiny little channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. Also, check the link in the description box below. I do have a Your First Astrology course running. It's a 6-week course that takes you from learning how to read your chart to learning kind of how to take these interpretations and make them more your own. And then I also am trying to start a Patreon membership where it's basically just an educational, getting to know yourself, getting to know how to dive into reading birth charts, like a monthly learning and growing. And with that, whatever the topic is that month, you would get a personalized natal reading on that topic each month. So if that's something you might be interested, check the link in the description box below. Otherwise, let's get into it, because this February is a big month. Many astrologers are calling it the biggest month of your life, which it certainly could be, but again, everything is felt subjectively, but the astrology of this month is really that big, especially with the Saturn Neptune conjunction that we'll go into. That is a once in a lifetime, once in history type of event, but it is slow moving, so it's one of those things that subjectively it may not be the most important month of your life, because the energy is slower moving and it's not like a thing that you can exactly pinpoint. It's more of a subtle shift. But we also do start eclipse season, and that might bring more sudden things that you might be able to pinpoint as, turning the direction of your life or something along those lines. So let's go ahead and bring up the chart and get into this month's astrology. Okay, so we are starting off the month with a bang, kind of. We are starting off the month February 1st with a full moon in Leo. So full moons are a time of culmination. They are a time when the seeds that you planted at a new moon should be coming to fruition. So in that sense, it could be a great time of like harvest and seeing things that you've been working towards manifest for you. It's also a time of release though, because it is a time that, because those things are manifesting and the full moon is shining a light on like what weeds there might be in with whatever is coming to harvest for you, right? So it's a time to look at how the seeds that you planted are growing, and if there's any changes in how it has been manifesting that you need to make. Is there anything that you need to let go of to continue the harvest going in the best way possible? Yeah, it's a time, it's also, an opposition. Oppositions always ask us to make sure that we are being balanced. So in this particular case for you, most of your energy, right? We have this Pisces stellium for the first 6 days of the month, or this Aquarius stellium, I'm sorry. And it's in your 12th house. 12th house can be, a difficult house to have all this energy in. It could be that you are feeling a little more tired than normal, needing a bit more retreat. 12th house can be the house of rest. Like this is kind of the axis. This is many axes, but one is the axis of health. So 6th is how we take care of ourselves in our day-to-day. It's our daily habits, routines, things like that. 12th house is literally the house of sleep and dreams and things like that. It also is the house of like looking into our subconscious, seeing self-sabotaging behaviors, self-limiting beliefs. It is known as the house of self-undoing, partly because what's in this house can be hidden from us as well, but it also represents those things hidden from society, such as, hospitals, spiritual retreat centers, jails, things like that, where people are outside of normal society. But it can indicate with a lot of energy here just that you need to pull back and retreat from the world to get a focus on yourself. But this opposition with the full moon in your 6th house is kind of indicating to you, hey, you're doing all this great, subconscious work, which we all need to do. It's good healing work, but don't forget about your day-to-day tasks. Don't forget about what the things that you need to get accomplished, right? We have to learn how to balance spending this time in meditation and contemplation and the deep inner work that it looks like you are currently doing, but with still engaging in the world. And so that's kind of what this full moon is asking you to balance, but also it might be where things are showing up for you, right? So 6th house is the house of, like I said, our daily habits and routines, the house of health, because how we treat our body day to day dictates our health. So there might be something showing up for you there, or it is our work and how we serve others. So there could be something showing up in your work as well. And maybe, some of this subconscious work and things like that is you realizing what you need to shift and let go of in this day-to-day so that you can spend more time here. But it could just be that there might be, opportunities or something like that showing up in the 6th house, or you're realizing that, some of the areas that you've been putting your energy and making a priority in your day-to-day is not actually a priority, so it's an opportunity for you to get more aligned. But like I said, it is a time of things coming to fruition, so there could be something showing up for you here as well. Okay, next let's go ahead and talk about this stellium in your 12th house. So these are all the personal planets. A stellium, like we talked about last month, with them is a very rare occurrence because they all move at different rates. These three planets, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, average between 3 to 5 weeks in a sign, and Mars averages 2 months in a sign. So to have them all moving together through Capricorn and Aquarius in a stellium is a pretty rare event, and it is where the energy is focused. And while they were going last month through Capricorn, they all made conjunctions with the Sun, and some of them made conjunctions with each other, like Mars and Venus. And so they've all had this new birth, right? New seeding cycle with the Sun, starting a brand new cycle, and in the sign of Capricorn, where you're building foundations and things like that. But because these planets are staying so close to the Sun for so long, they're just now starting to become visible. So anything that was planted there probably still isn't being seen yet. Like, we can't see those stars in the sky right now, but we should start to be able to see them. This is kind of when they change from being evening stars to morning stars and vice versa. And then when they moved into Aquarius at the end of last month, they all made a conjunction to Pluto. So they birthed this new seed and then had this deep transformation of work of looking at what's working for us and what isn't in terms of our communication with Mercury, our finances and relationships with Venus, our ego and our identity and what we're striving for in this life with the Sun, and our willpower and our motivation and our drive and some of what we're willing to fight for. All of those things have undergone a transformation since they've moved into Aquarius and made that conjunction. Well, now this month, these personal planets are going to continue to make important conversations. And I'm not going to list out the specific dates because they all, except for Mars, are going to make all of these conversations. Mars will too. Mars will be staying. Mars will not make it into Pisces with the rest of the planets. So the personal planet stellium will be ending by the end of the month. But so as these planets move through Aquarius this month, they will be making a sextile to Chiron in Aries, which is Sextiles' very beautiful energy. Chiron, we've been doing a lot of healing here, right? It's the wounded I am, where you've kept yourself small for the sake of others, maybe haven't felt seen or heard or understood, or like you are worthy enough to take up space. In your second house, this could be that a lot of the second house is our value system, how we value ourselves. So this could be a wound of thinking that you're not enough, existing just the way you are, and you are enough, just so you know. But so this could be, with all these planets in your 12th house and this wounded I am in your second house of self-value, I really think that this is an opportunity to continue to do this deep work of looking at your subconscious patterning around how you feel about yourself, number one, but also your relationship to money and things like that. So what's your internal dialogue? Just kind of looking and discovering at why you have the beliefs you do around money, why you have the beliefs you do around your worth, and it's really giving you the opportunity to heal to heal these wounds from a, more subconscious, like changing your internal dialogue, changing your programming. So that is really beautiful. And then all of these planets after that are going to make a square to Uranus in Taurus. This square, Uranus is the planet of, wherever Uranus is, you can expect the unexpected. So this is the planet of shakeups, and it's also where you want to revolutionize things, where you want to step out of the box, where you want to do things differently, where you are tired of the status quo, and where you really want to or need to shake things up, right? Sometimes we may not be fully aware of what needs to be shaken up, but the astrology will come and help catapult us forward on something. But so this squares are usually a tension point, and a lot of times there needs to be like a decision or an action point to move through the square. So a lot of people don't like the square energy, but if we are here to keep growing and learning and being the better and best versions of ourselves, we need to have some challenge and some friction to keep us moving forward and growing, right? And so that's what these squares do. And so this square, again, is going from your 12th house of that subconscious patterning, rest, things like that, and it is squaring Uranus in your 3rd house in Taurus of communication, thought processes. So learning, even though it's a square, this feels like a very healing thing. Like maybe there's an opportunity, maybe something about like an attachment style or something like that comes into your awareness, and all of a sudden you want to study about it, right? Because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, so it's very intellectual as well, stimulating the mind, having sudden insights, things like that. And in the 3rd house, it could bring a lot of psychic abilities or just like sudden awareness, as well as all this energy in your 12th house as well, because the 12th house is, since it is the house of the unseen things, it is the house kind of where we connect to our spiritualism as well. So you may be feeling really pulled to dive into your spiritual beliefs and habits and things like that. And in Taurus, this square is kind of like helping you maybe ground in some of these bigger ideas. So taking it to a learning, rather than just this ethereal, rather than being all in the mind and all up here, it's kind of with the square to Uranus in Taurus, which is an earth sign, it's kind of figuring out how to ground that in. So maybe a course of study, or just that you're having this sudden shift in how you consume, perhaps, 3rd house is information. So perhaps how you consume information, you're changing that. Or this is also short distance travel and can have something to do with our cars or our siblings. This is also siblings and neighborhoods and communities and things like that. So maybe you start a spiritual movement in your community. Like I said, it's also siblings and extended family. So maybe there's something going on there. But there's going to be some type of challenge point that is manifesting in your reality of communication, and either how you take in information or how you communicate or how you participate in your community. There might be some shakeups there. So then after all these planets do that, they are going to be moving into Pisces. let's see, February 6th, Mercury is going to be the first one entering into Pisces, but then the rest will follow. And so then as they progress, they are each going to be taking turns making a conjunction with the North Node. So, they had a conjunction with the Sun, birthing a new seed. Then they had a conjunction with Pluto, going through this transformation of like, what do I need to let go of in all these personal areas of my life. You're looking at self-conscious patterning and belief systems, and now they're making a conjunction with the North Node. And the North Node is where we are being guided to learn new skills, new things, pushed outside of our comfort zone. And especially in the sign of Pisces, where we are learning to trust and kind of let go, let God. And this is in your sign. This is your sign of self. So it's really beautiful because, you're doing, with the North Node here, you're doing a lot of learning about yourself. And you've been doing, with Saturn and Neptune here, you've been doing a lot of learning about boundaries and things of that nature. But now you're learning to trust in yourself, trust in the boundaries that you've set up, and not have to have everything figured out, and learning that what has been planted here, what's been excavated here, and figured out here, having another checkpoint of, okay, is this aligned, right? 'Cause Pisces also represents that spiritual realm, our connection to ourself, our empathy, compassion, the oneness of everything. So are these changes that you're making, are these new seeds that you're planting, are they truly aligned with who you are and where you're going? And you're gonna feel like a magnetic pull to go towards these things. Like, it'll be like, if there's something that you feel you need to do, as they make a conjunction with this North Node, especially since all of them are going to be doing it, like, it's like I have to do this, right? This is who I now am. I can't ignore this. So that is kind of exciting. And as well as all these planets move into Pisces, you're going to be feeling more energized. People are going to be more drawn to you. Conversations might be easier. You're going to be seen in a brighter light, I guess. Like, you're going to come off really well to people as all these planets move in here. So then the last thing these personal planets are going to be doing after they make a conjunction to the North Node, they are then going to be making a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. So this is a fellow water sign. This is a trine. Fifth house is one of, your lucky houses. Fifth house is always a lucky house. These personal planets and you are naturally bringing this luck to this fifth house. And Jupiter is your modern ruler. Neptune is your traditional ruler. Neptune is your modern ruler. With this being a ruler, it's basically you're having a trine between your house of self and the planet that rules you, that represents you. So this is really extra lucky for you. And the fifth house is all about our joy, our creativity, our romance, our children, and our inner child, and that playful energy where we forget all, where time goes out the window, right? Where you engage in activities where you truly find your joy, and in that can truly be in a receptive state. So there is a trine here. So there might be something showing up in your fifth house with regards to kids. If this is something you're trying for, it could be a pregnancy, something like that, new romance. opportunities with the planet, with Jupiter being retrograde. It may be more of just an inner child energy, like reconnecting, re-engaging with your inner child, or there could be opportunities that you missed in this area, so coming back. So maybe renewed relationships with children, or reconnecting with passions that you had long ago that you didn't realize you were still passionate about, that still brought you joy, and remembering those and re-engaging with those. Could be something like that coming up. But so that is exciting, because anytime we are in our joy, we are in our purpose. I truly believe that. Okay, the other big things happening, let me forward here to February 2nd or 3rd. So February 3rd, we have Uranus stationing direct. So with it moving direct, that change that day on February 3rd, or any time near then, you could be feeling sudden shifts, right? This is the planet, like I was talking about, of sudden shifts. Expect the unexpected with Uranus. Shakeups, breakups, things like that. And so when it stations direct, when it moves from retrograde to direct, it is when the energy is becoming more outward. So in the sign of Taurus, collectively, this can be shakeups, or things showing up, or things flipping on its head in regards to finances or resources, or value systems, things like that. In your personal life, since this is falling in your 3rd house, it could be those themes showing up in your community, in your communication, in the way you intake information, right? So maybe there's a sudden opportunity to learn something. Maybe there's a sudden opportunity to teach something, or maybe there's suddenly something going on with one of your vehicles, because 3rd house can represent short distance travel and vehicles and things like that. Maybe there's something showing up suddenly about a sibling or an extended family member, or like I said, something going on in your community. But with it stationing direct, number one, we might have more clarity, because Uranus is one of the rulers of Aquarius. So you might have more clarity of what these planets are working with you on as they finish their time through Aquarius and then go into Pisces. But especially because this is happening, at the beginning of the month, before all the connections that we just talked about are happening with all of these. So there could be more clarity, but it also feels like it speeds up time, right? When Uranus turns direct, things get moving, things get going, things are suddenly shifting in the outward environment. And so the most potent times that would happen this month is when it stations direct, and then again later as each of these planets make a square to that planet. So just something to keep in the back of your mind, and just knowing and trusting that life is always happening for you, not to you. So even if something feels disruptive, the more you resist, the harder it's going to be. The more you just kind of learn to trust and go with the flow, the easier and the sooner that you will see the opportunities in whatever is happening. And it doesn't always have to manifest bad, even in squares, right? It's just there's a change, there's a challenge point, there's a whatever that maybe you need to shift gears. And so it all, whether you experience change as bad or good is all a matter of perspective. Okay, the next major thing happening this month that is a very big deal is on Friday the 13th. Saturn is going to be entering into Aries with your modern ruler, Neptune, at 0 degrees. This is the day that Saturn enters Aries. This conjunction between these two don't become exact until February 20th, but clearly we are going to be feeling the energy, this energetic shift on February 13th when Saturn does move into Aries. So on a more personal level, this could be felt as, Saturn is the planet of restriction, and Neptune and Aries, Neptune especially representing you, like you've probably felt like kind of a weight, a weight off of Neptune being in your sign, right? You may have had a lot of confusion about who you are, where you're going, or you may have had just a lot of, with Neptune being there, a lot of spiritual awakening over the last 14 years or things like that. With it moving into your second house, I will be doing videos about what Neptune through each house might bring, but just generally speaking, with Neptune ruling you going into a fire house, you may have felt an uptick in energy, an uptick in, I feel like I can get things done, like I'm ready to move ahead, I'm ready to do things, right? But with Saturn coming in here, which is the planet of restriction and boundaries and things like that, making this conjunction, you may feel a little bit like a push-pull here between I want to get things done, but I'm not sure it's the right time, I'm not sure it's the right container, those things, those types of things. And this is in your second house of finances, of value systems, of resources, beauty, what types of things you find beauty. So this can be a house of creativity, things of that nature. But really what the Saturn-Neptune conjunction overall, right? This has been the focal point of this divine mini grand trine that we've been talking about for months, and that's going to be hanging on until the year 2029. So this mini grand trine, although it's going to ebb and flow a little bit, like the trine right here between Pluto and Uranus is not super strong right now, but it will be as Uranus starts to move direct. But with this Uranus and Saturn being the focal point, this is where we as a collective are meant to be going. This is and at 0 degrees Aries, which is the first degree of the entire zodiac, it's a world point. It is the birthing point. This is where collectively we are meant to grow and meant to be going. I have a whole video on Neptune in Aries and going through the history, like anytime Neptune enters Aries, it signifies a shift in spiritual revolutions and awakenings and things like that. But with Saturn here at the 0 degree point, it really is because Neptune is like our connection to the other realms, to the other worlds. It's our dream, like dreaming the best version possible. And then Saturn is our physical reality. So it's grounding this big energy into reality. And we're really changing timelines right now, I guess you could say, or really collectively manifesting and changing the world as we know it. There is no going back after this point. In the Neptune video that I did, there is no time even close to what this astrology is saying. We're really setting up the cycle for the next perhaps thousands of years, and we chose to make a point in doing this. But in your own life, this is also where a new you is being born, a new version of you. There's gonna be a before you and an after you, and like I talked about at the beginning, it might not be a specific event. It could just be this subtle shift, but this is where we are grounding in this new us. So for you, with this being in your second house, perhaps you're going to be one of the people that helps us refigure out our financial system, right? Because how it's been working hasn't been going well, right? We're in a total financial collapse. It needs to be restructured, reorganized. So perhaps this is where you are going to shine, is in the world of finance and value system, like helping yourself first, but then helping humanity readjust what our values are and where they should be and things of that nature, or just your own internal value system, right? And really grounding with Saturn, grounding that value system in, so that you don't have to think about, does this align with me or not? You'll just the new you will just kind of automatically know, this is what my values are, this is what I'm standing business on, this is the way that I can make money or have resources and be abundant, and like reshaping thoughts of abundance and things like that, what brings values. And so this is where you're taking, your highest dreams, your highest visions, and really starting to figure out how to ground them into reality, first for yourself and then to show the rest of the world. So, and that, I think this is part of the reason why we've been doing so much healing with Chiron, is to prepare for this once in history seeding point. So that is why this is so big, and the indications that I'm feeling and that I'm getting is that a large part of your role in the overall community will be kind of, taking charge. Aries is leadership. Aries is forward momentum in figuring out how to update our financial system and our value system and our resources and things like that. And so you might have some ideas and figure out how to ground them and be a leader in that area. And that doesn't mean that has to be your job or anything. Like, I'm not saying that. I just think that that's where your new spiritual revolution may be coming and landing in your physical existence with Saturn. Okay, so then the other major astrology of this month is in between the time that Saturn enters Aries and on the 13th, and when they become exactly conjunct on the 20th, we are going to be having a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. So this is in your 12th house. Eclipses happen anytime there's a new or a full moon within about 16 degrees of either the north node or the south node. And new moons represent new beginnings, right? It's a new seeding point for planting new goals for yourself. It's when you're, the moon and the sun are aligned, so your emotions and your spirit are aligned. And they are a good time for bringing new beginnings that are aligned with who you are, and working on that. So just that alone would be bringing new beginnings, new opportunities to your 12th house. And then with it being a solar eclipse and having, the North Node in with it, this makes it, and the North Node representing new things showing up as well. South Node is more what we need to release, but with this engaging with the North Node, this is like extra new opportunities, right? And anytime we have eclipses, it is like a lot of times unexpected things showing up or leaving or whatever, but it's said to be karmic and said to be fated, and how you are feeling this, again, depends, even though this is a chart for Pisces rising, how strong you feel this annual solar eclipse will depend on how this where your natal planets are. If you have any planets that are engaging with this energy, especially by conjunction or opposition or squares, you will be feeling this energy more potently, and things will most likely be showing up for you. Same if you have any trines or anything like that. But regardless, new things could be showing up for you with this new moon in your 12th house, in your house of rest. Maybe there's an opportunity to go to a spiritual retreat center. Maybe there's an opportunity to lead a spiritual retreat. If you've been somebody who suffers with addiction, maybe this is an opportunity showing up for you to get treatment and get help. This could be a checkpoint with something showing up, but with the North Node, it's something new. The South Node can bring things too, but it's usually something that maybe is returning or something like that. This North Node is like a new energy, so there's a new opportunity that might be coming in for you in regards to that. Or with the moon ruling your 5th house, again, it could be a birth of a child or a new relationship or something like that. Diving into your creativity and your passions, and having an 5th house can also be entrepreneurship, turning your passion into a career. So maybe there's a sudden opportunity to do that. With the sun ruling your 6th house, maybe there's a new opportunity for a new health program, a new work, new job opportunity, new way to serve others, a new pet, perhaps. 6th house rules pets, or wherever the sun and moon are in your birth chart, whatever house, there could be new opportunities related to those houses showing up for you as well. So this is exciting. Anytime there's eclipse season, it can bring sudden shifts that change the trajectory of our life, especially when we have this heavy Saturn Neptune conjunction energy going on too. Like, if we find anything that hits, it's going to land and have staying power. And then the last thing, I'm not going to move the chart forward, but on February 25th, Mercury is going to turn retrograde. So that will be, whatever things have been moving forward, they might slow down and give you an opportunity to reevaluate if they're moving in the right direction. Reevaluate, with this being in your 1st house, reevaluating kind of where you're going, making sure that you are aligned with your new value system and all the work that these personal planets have been doing, making sure your mindset is right about things. But this can bring, typical Mercury retrograde things, communication problems. And with this being in your 1st house, perhaps this could be people not understanding you very well. It could be, short distance travel problems. It could be with Mercury ruling your 4th house and your 8th house. This could have, some slowdowns or some chance for rethinking things going on in your 4th house of home and family, and your emotional retreat center. And then with the 8th house, resources and you've been doing so much inner work. 8th house is the house of transformation and intimacy and things like that. So maybe there's, some revision and some deeper dives that you need to do there as well. So that could be some things that Mercury retrograde brings up for you. And other than that, that pretty much sums it up for February. So it is a big astrological month. Could be life-changing, especially with the eclipse and that Saturn and Neptune energy, along with all the work that the personal planets are doing. Like, it really feels like these first 2 months of the year, we are being rewired, reconfigured on all of our personal planets. So how we go about and go through our day-to-day existence, and we can also see that in the collective, right? All those things that those things rule, like our financial markets, our healthcare markets, our auto markets, like everything is going through massive change right now. So that is your month of February. Comment below with what you're most excited about, what you might be most nervous about, how you're feeling this energy. And please, if you do like the way I go through these, give it a like, comment, subscribe, especially these videos by sign that I go in depth in. They really take a lot of time and a lot of energy to do. And pull me away from the tasks that I make money at right now. So if there is any way that you can engage with this to help my channel grow, or I do have a link in the description box below to buy me a coffee. Any donation you could give me would definitely help keep me motivated to keep doing these each month, because it does take a lot of time, and I don't have the time to do it every month. But if I did have some more motivation to do them, it would definitely keep me doing them. Anyway, until my next video, I hope you have a wonderful day.